It is my pleasure. I'm calling from Athens, Greece, and I do hope that everything goes fine with the internet. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome for a brief overview of Athens, the capital of Greece and one of the oldest cities in Europe, as well as the islands of Mykonos and Santorini, which take part of the Cycladic Islands. We have all been dreaming about Greece, wanting to know when restrictions will be lifted. Well, I'm delighted to say that Greece reopened as of May 14 for US travelers as well. So a brief overview of the entry requirements. Proof of full vaccination at least 14 days prior to arrival, or a negative PCR test no older than 72 hours, or a negative rapid or self-test no older than 24 hours, or documentation of COVID-19 recovery from a healthcare professional. So Greece is the birthplace of democracy, Olympic Games, major mathematical principles, as well as the olive tree. It has more archaeological museums than any other country in the world. And the Greek language has been spoken for more than 3,000 years, making it the oldest language in Europe. Did you know that 7% of the marble produced in the world comes from Greece? Greeks are very passionate about their country, its history, music, wine, food, sea, and anything else that comes from Greece. And this shows the average temperature throughout the year. I recommend that when it is less crowded, the months of April, May, mid-September, no, mid-June, September, and October. So here we show all the different services that we can give you to complete your trip to Greece, between water transfers and private transfers and private guided tours, cooking classes, private villas, and more. The Acropolis of Athens is a symbol of the ancient Greek culture. It is also considered to be one of the most significant ancient monuments in Europe. Both the Acropolis and the Parthenon, which is located on the top, that little square, are visible from almost every spot in Athens. Historically, it was not permitted to build any buildings that were higher than the Acropolis, so it would be viewed from any part of the city. This is no longer a law, but since Athens has very few skyscrapers, you can actually see the Acropolis from the most major parts of the city. So the Parthenon is a breathtaking temple and the most magnificent temple of the ancient world, and is a masterpiece of the architecture. The columns are slightly narrowing to give the temple a symmetrical appearance. Who would believe that there are virtually no straight lines or right angles in the Parthenon? The temple appears at a first glance to be a giant straight line. All of those lines are straight, while they are not. The corner columns are larger in diameter than the other columns. So do not pass the opportunity for a guided tour in Athens. This is a must-do. When you take a tour of the Acropolis, it also includes a visit to the Acropolis Museum, which is basically on the same road, as I can show. Here is the entrance to the Acropolis, and if you take this road, it takes you to the entrance of the Acropolis Museum, where it is very modern. It's not too old, I might say maybe 10 years old, and houses ancient artifacts found in the excavations of the Acropolis and throughout Greece. The temple of the Olympian Zeus stands in the middle of the city near the Acropolis, built in his honor. It took 6 centuries to finish. This is the world-famous and stunning Athenian trilogy, which stands on one of the city center's busiest streets. 3 jewels of Athenian and neoclassical architecture: the university, the library, and the academy. In the shadow of the Acropolis and its ancient temples lies Plaka, the oldest district in Athens, which has a village filled with narrow cobblestone streets lined with tiny shops selling jewelry, local ceramics, and souvenirs. Sidewalk cafes and family-run tavernas line the streets. Panathenaic Stadium. This amazing stadium was originally constructed in the ancient times to host the famous Panathenaic Games, which were held to honor goddess Athena, the protector of the city. In 1896, it was renovated to host the first modern Olympic Games that were held in Athens. Changing of the guard ceremony takes place off Syntagma Square below the Parliament every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. They do change every hour in the day, but on Sundays, it is the official ceremony with the official costumes. So we will mention some meaningful day trips from Athens, which are worthwhile seeing. Here you can see the Peloponnese and the various areas that you can visit by land, by car. In a 50-minute drive along the Athenian Riviera, passing by the elite seaside resort of Vouliagmeni, you reach Cape Sunio, which houses the temple of Poseidon, the god of the sea, with beautiful sunsets and great views to the Aegean Sea. The Peloponnese is the most popular region of the Greek mainland. The close distance to Athens and the interesting archaeological sites attract many visitors to the Peloponnese all year round. It hosts most important archaeological sites of Greece, including Olympia, Epidaurus, and Mykonos. Surrounded by sea from all sides, the region provides amazing beaches. So here are the various points that you can visit in the Peloponnese, but I'm only mentioning a few. This theater was constructed in the late 4th century BC to host religious ceremonial events, and where plays are presently held during the summer festival. The theater is marveled for its exceptional acoustics. Any sound on the open-air stage, including a slight whisper, is perfectly noticeable to all spectators, even in the top row, so microphones are never used. Naphtali is a beautiful town on eastern Peloponnese mainland. Only 2 hours drive from Athens and close to important archaeological sites as well. It was the first capital of independent Greece. One of the most important archaeological sites is ancient Olympia, the place where the ancient Olympic Games were organized in 8th century BC. And lastly, Delphi is about 2 hours from Athens towards the north of Greece and was an ancient religious sanctuary dedicated to the Greek god Apollo. So now we take either a 30-minute flight to Mykonos or a 2.5-hour ferry boat to Mykonos, depending on which type of boat you take. So Mykonos has a lot to offer. From breathtaking beaches, Pylos archaeological site, it has very good connections with the Cycladic Islands and the other areas of Greece. But in my opinion, this photo is the ideal representation of Mykonos. With the whitewashed architecture, a church bell, traditional costumes, and a glamour the island has to offer. Delos was the birthplace of Apollo and Artemis, and is a UNESCO World Heritage. It was one of the most sacred places of ancient Greece and one of the most robust trade centers in 2nd and 1st century, due to its superb location at the very center of the Aegean Sea. Today, Delos is an archaeological site where you can see the Terrace of the Lions. Windmills are the quintessential features of Mykonos landscape. Mykonos windmills are living testimony of the island's use of innovation when it came to tapping the enormous power of the wind. Grind, use the agricultural products of Mykonos. The 2 and 3 story houses that you see to the right, which are spilling out into the sea, were built at the height of the Mykonos prosperity in the 18th century for captains of ships. They are yet another reminder of the island's rich maritime past. Today is called Little Venice and is fully geared to cater the discerning international traveler. Art galleries abound here, and exhibitions of renowned artists are a regular feature too. Palomera is the second largest village after Mykonos town and is one of the oldest villages in Mykonos. It is a quiet village where locals continue their everyday life without being interrupted by a crowd of tourists. The town of Mykonos, called Hora by the locals, is a typical Cycladic village built amphitheatrically. It has whitewashed cubic houses with wooden colored doors, windows, and balconies, narrow streets forming a labyrinth, and beautiful churches. The heart of the city is close to traffic, which makes the walk among the narrow streets particularly agreeable and safe because you do not have to look after the cars. Mykonos is truly an island that has so much to offer. However, it is very famous for its beaches that will satisfy every demand, and we will highlight just a few because it is impossible to cover all of those beaches. Saru is an idyllic and well-organized beach on the southern side of Mykonos. In the summer, it attracts many celebrities, not only from Greece, but from abroad. Now, those beautiful chaise lounges that you see were extremely expensive, and I know the architect that built them. You need to book your seat because it is always fully booked. And you do pay a fee to enter, which is not cheap, but it is well worth visiting this beautiful beach. Although Kaloli Bari is from Hora, this is an organized beach with many umbrellas and sunbeds. Elia is one of the longest and most popular beaches of Mykonos. And here is a great selection of different activities can be chosen on the island, from a helicopter ride, boat excursions to historic Delos, the sunset cruise to Little Venice, and cruises around the south coast where you can visit other beaches that are reachable only by boat. Mykonos has many great destinations and different water sports, from kite surfing to diving, which is very developed activity in the island, or just relax, sit and enjoy. Who says we have to be running all the time to be busy? After all, you're on vacation. Shopping in Mykonos can be a great pastime. Every kind of shops are found in Mykonos town, mostly gathered in the narrow whitewashed streets of the capital, from souvenir shops, brand designer clothes and shoe shops, art galleries, and fine jewelry stores. But Mykonos comes to life at night. It's as if the island was made for partying. Every night is a good night to go out. And this is Paradise Beach. Scorpio's Mykonos Beach Club, a perfect place to gather under a shady canopy for long, leisurely meals that can stretch on into the night, and then partying it up at the weekly fashion-themed parties, involving resident artists and famous DJs from all over the world. Jackie O Beach Club overlooking Super Paradise Beach is great for lounging around the pool and jacuzzi. In the heart of idyllic and protected Bay of Paraga, amazing cuisine and truly unique beach and entertainment merge together in an exceptional environment. Kalua is your Mykonos paradise. So if I would like to take one thing from this part of the presentation, is that Mykonos is a destination for everyone, from multi-generation travelers, couples, honeymooners, family with children of any ages, as well as wedding destinations. We now take a 2.5 hour water transfer trip to Santorini, or you can fly as well. But I think it's more convenient if you can take a water transfer. Santorini is the crescent moon-shaped island that sits at the southernmost member of the Cyclades group of islands. As you can see, it is this square down here, is the last of the Cycladic islands. Santorini owes its distinctive crescent moon shape to being flooded at the caldera, a collapsed volcanic crater. The eruption that gave it this shape was one of the largest in history, and the volcano is still alive and active. Its volcanic history is key to understanding how it is one of the world's most dramatic islands. Santorini is views, it is relaxation, history, wine, sunsets that are said to be some of the best in the entire world due to those unobstructed views thanks to the eruption. The island's volcanic soil, ample sunshine, arid climate add up to a distinctive wine grape. Vintners here shape the live vines into protective baskets designed to enable the vines to both collect the dew and survive the wind. How long to stay? I certainly suggest 4 days. There's so much to see. One of my favorite ways to explore Santorini is to embark on a 6-mile hike along the rim of the caldera from Fira to Ia, which allows you to explore the towns and villages and dramatic scenery in a more intimate way. So this is how I'm going to show you many places of the island. So picture us there. We are at the clearly labeled trailhead. As you walk downhill into the starting point of Fira, you will come to Panagia Church. Here, your only task is to enjoy the view. You will then enter into Santorini's main town of Fira, which is the capital, a vibrant, bustling place backed by narrow streets full of shops and bars and restaurants. From Fira, visit the famous Santorini volcano, the one that is to blame or praise for all that scenic splendor of Santorini. You can pick up a boat to tour the island. This is another wonderful place to hike and see the island from a different vantage point. And there also hot springs that you can enjoy. Very close to Fira, it's a wonderful place of Pyrgos. It's a 7-minute side trip by car, taxi, or bus, which we will take since we are on a hike. It is the hidden gem of this small town, Pyrgos. This former capital of Santorini and the best preserved medieval settlements on the island, the village of Pyrgo retains an unruffled and easy grace that you can still feel the original Santorini. Close by the village is some of that famous wine we talked about. Santos are specialized for white, dry wine. We now enter the next town of our hiking journey, Imerovili, where we will be greeted by Santorini's iconic blue dome churches. Only 30 minutes walk from Fira, Imerovili is the highest point of the caldera. It looks exactly as a Santorini village should. After your hike, return to Rimerovili for an epic sunset dinner. Along your hike en route to Ia, which is the farthest point, if you want to explore Scaros Rock, it will add another hour, but it is worth it. Not surprisingly, Ia draws enormous numbers of tourists, so I suggest to explore it in the morning or late in the evening and get lost through the cobblestone narrow roads. The cave dwellings are traditionally the way people had to live, carving their homes into the cliffs, or head off land and dive into the sea on a private or semi-private catamaran which sails from Ia. Now, back on land, a 10-minute walk from Ia is one of the oldest vineyards in the world. Domaine Sigalas is one of the most renowned wineries, not only in Santorini, but in all of Greece. As Santorini has the oldest vineyards in Europe, my recommendation is to enjoy a winery tour, and the one highlighted here includes a private car, driver, guide, and a professional sommelier to accompany you to the 3 top wineries. Located at the very edge of Ia, 300 steps below the town itself, Amudi Bay is a tiny fishing port in Ia. It is not easy to get, but that doesn't stop people from making the long trek down those 300 steps. You can also go by car, but remember that we are hiking. Amudi Bay is the ideal place to enjoy a meal in Ia. There's only a handful of tavernas in Amudi Bay, and they're all on the waterfront. The magic of Greek islands is best experienced by the sea. Speaking of more traditional, charming Megalohori is the prototype of the traditional Santorini village and is just a 26-minute drive from Ia. You can see the traditional streets of the main town, of that small town. A short 8-minute drive from Megalohori in the far south of the island is the ancient bird city of Akrotiri. Thousands of years before the idea of tourism, in the Bronze Age, a time that was ancient even to the Greeks we now call ancient, Santorini was already bustling. It was the era of the Minoans, the earliest documented civilization in the Aegean, and Akrotiri was the largest city outside their home base of Crete. After you explore Akrotiri, enjoy the lovely and multicolored beaches that are nearby, such as the Moon Beach, located past Akrotiri village, where you can see the black sand beach, or Vrihada Beach, or the Red Beach. Ancient Sira is an antique city located on a high mountain overlooking the sea. It towers over Perissa and its famous Perivolos Beach, which is the longest black sandy beach on the island. Some not to miss foods perfected and made unique by the island's volcanic soil are the famous Santorini fava, which are made of yellow split peas, and the cherry tomatoes, made impossibly sweet by the unique volcano soil of the island. These tomatoes are a must to try on their own, fried as fritters or keftedes, or chopped up into a Greek salad. Here I wanted to share some images of Santorini during the pandemic. Deserted, images rarely seen and rarely to be seen. I don't think we're going to see that again. If you go to Greece, no matter what, you need to go to Santorini. I think we've established that, right? So these next 2 slides, I just wanted to show you that The Greek hospitality is actually a family affair. From generation to generation, the hotels we work with go from parents to the sons to the grandchildren, because the proprietors, when they welcome you to their hotels, is like welcome them to your home. The warmth of the Greeks is unparalleled. So this is just a few of the owners that we have as friends as well, not only collaborators. I read the other day that beautiful sunsets need cloudy skies. After the year we have had, I think Santorini's sunsets are said to be the most beautiful yet. Thank you so much on behalf of Fugazi Travel.
Thank you, Bonti, for the lovely presentation. The photographs were exquisite and brought back so many memories of past trips. I too hope we never have a year like this again, and look forward to sending crowds and crowds of people back to your beautiful, beautiful islands. Thank you again. Joseph, did you have anything you want to add?
No, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Bonti. I love hearing about Greece and going through that virtual trip with you. It's so amazing. And Bob and I were talking before we started recording about, the fond memories that we have there. And it's been too long since I've been to Greece, and this really, really, really makes me want to go back as soon as possible. So thank you for taking us on that virtual voyage.